What do you do when your strength is not enough and your efforts lead nowhere? In 2 Chronicles 14, Asa, the great grandson of David, found himself facing an overwhelming enemy. Zerah the Ethiopian brought 1,000,000 men and 300 chariots to battle, outnumbering Asa's 580,000 men. Asa, realizing that victory was impossible on his own, cried to God in verse 11, saying, "There is none to help besides the Lord, between the mighty and he that has no strength." And after that prayer of acknowledgement, God fought for Asa, granting him the victory. That divine assistance came because Asa relied on God. The question today is, who are you relying on? What is your confidence built on? Connection, competence, expertise, skills are all great tools, but there's only so far they can take you. Jesus is the ultimate foundation. In Luke 5 and verse 5, Jesus met Peter, an experienced and skillful fisherman. In fact, the entire Peter's family were involved in fishing, in the fishing business. He knew the right time, the right tools, the right process, the right technique, to utilize when fishing. But he confessed to Jesus in Luke 5 verse 5. He said, "We've toiled all night and we caught nothing." Despite Peter's expertise, despite his knowledge, he came up empty. You see, there are times that God will allow us to exhaust our effort, not to harm us, but to teach us a lesson that the things we often put our trust in can only take us so far. You can be talented and skillful and still come up short and still not see, you may feel stuck and not see progress. Because the Bible tells us in Romans 9 verse 16, "It is not of the person who willeth or the person who runneth, but of God that showeth mercy." Paul understood this truth powerfully, very well. In 1 Corinthians 15 verse 10, Paul says, "I am what I am by the grace of God. For the grace bestowed upon me was not in vain, for I labored more abundantly than them all." Paul said, "I struggled, I labored, I put in the work, I sweated." Hard work is good, but he didn't stop there. He said, "Yet not I, but the grace of God that was with me." Here, Paul acknowledged the God factor, the grace of God. The grace of God is what put air in your lungs. The grace of God is what has kept your heart beating. The grace of God is what has kept you sane through the storms of life. The grace of God is what has preserved you through your childhood traumas. The grace of God is what has kept you so far. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you've gotten so far by your own wisdom and skills and expertise, because even the Bible tells us that Jesus said, the Father makes rain to fall on the just and the unjust. Even people who have not received Jesus, who have not accepted Jesus, Jesus says the grace of God still extends to them. And that's why Jesus says in John 15 and verse 5, "For without me you can do nothing." And so today there are people who are toiling like Peter and not achieving because their strength or their trust is rooted in their strength and in their abilities. Turn to God, because his strength starts where yours ends. Amen.